بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وما أرسلناك إلا رحمة للعالمين.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الحكيم في سورة الفتح: لقد رضي الله عن المؤمنين إذ يبايعونك تحت الشجرة فعلم ما في قلوبهم فأنزل السكينة عليهم وأثابهم فتحا قريبا ومغانم كثيرة يأخذونها وكان الله عزيزا حكيما. صدق الله العظيم. برادران و خواهران بسیار عزیز و محترم، السلام علیکم و رحمت الله و برکاته. آیاتی که خدمت شما تلاوت شد از کلام قدیم خداوند از سوره فتح می باشد. از آنجایی که می دانید هر یک از آیات و کلمات باری متعال توجیهات دارد و معانی دارد و تشریحات دارد که اگر به هر آیت ما شما بحث کنیم کتاب‌ها خواهد شد. در این سوره فتح که خداوند آن را هم به انا فتحنا شروع کرده است، در اینجا مطالب بسیار عمده ذکر شده است و 3 مطلب عمده و چندین مطالب دیگر فرعی هم شامل این سوره است. از جمله مطالب عمده یکی مسئله فتح المبین است که عبارت از مسئله حدیبیه است و صلح حدیبیه که در سال 6 هجرت به وقوع پیوست و مسئله دومی که بسیار از نظر اعتقادی و از نظر کلامی برای ما شما مهم است عبارت از مسئله صحابه رسول خداوند است که ما صحابه را چه قسم باید بشناسیم و در اخیر این سوره خداوند نوید میدهد برای پیامبر بزرگ اسلام که لقد صدق الله رسوله الرؤيا بالحق لتدخلن المسجد الحرام. یعنی خداوند برای پیغمبر نوید میدهد که شما در مسجد الحرام داخل میشوید که عبارت از فتح مکه است. ما فقط نظر به ذیقی و تنها سر یک آیتی که عبارت از مسئله لقد رضي الله عن المؤمنين إذ يبايعونك تحت الشجرة سرعی تا اندازه‌ای که بتوانیم صحبت خواهیم نمود. در اینجا خداوند می‌فرماید که لقد رضي الله عن المؤمنين إذ يبايعونك تحت الشجرة. به تحقیق خداوند راضی شد از کسانی که ای پیامبر، از کسانی که آنها مبایعت کردن، بیعت کردن، با تو پیمان بستن در زیر آن درخت. و ببینید در اینجا خداوند می‌فرماید که رضی الله، راضی شد خداوند. و پیش از راضی شدن رضی الله خداوند می‌فرماید که لقد، قد یک کلمه از نظر نحوی و ترکیب کلماتی برای تحقیق است. هر چیزی که 100% یا 100% در او متیقن باشیم به او کلمه قد استفاده میکنیم. یعنی خداوند به تحقیق راضی شد خداوند. وقتی که خداوند میفرماید که کسایی که ای پیغمبر تو را در زیر آن درخت بیعت نمودند خداوند ازشان راضی شد، از این بزرگتر مقامی چی باشد؟ در علم سلوک و عرفان بالاترین مقام رضای خداوند است. و همیشه در عباداتی که ما و شما انجام میدهیم هم میگوییم که خداوند من رضای تو را میخواهم. وقتی یک بادار، یک آمر، یک کسی که موافق شماست او از شما راضی باشد، از این بهتر شما چی میخواهید؟ در اینجا که خداوند میفرماید که آن کسایی که در آن زیر درخت با تو ای پیغمبر بیعت کردن و دست روی دستت گذاشتن که ما تا آخرین لحظه از تو دفاع میکنیم و تا آخرین قطره خون خود در راه اسلام مبارزه میکنیم، خداوند از ایشان راضی گشت. جای شک نیست که در خود کتب سیرت و کتب تاریخ و تمام منابع اسلامی در این متفق هستند که تعداد کسایی که با پیغمبر در اون صحنه حضور داشتن بین 1400 تا 1500 نفر بودن. یعنی بین 1400 تا 1500 نفر از صحابه کبار به همراه پیغمبر بیعت کردند. واقعا این قصه بود که زمانی که خداوند این آیت را نازل کرد که لقد صدق الله رسوله الرؤیا بالحق لتدخلن المسجد الحرام ان شاء الله آمنین محلقین رؤوسکم مقصرین لا تخافون. پیغمبر زمانی که این آیت نازل شد و پیغمبر برای اصحاب و یاران خود امر دادند که ما باید که براییم به عمره، برای ادا کردن عمره به مکه مکرمه. و در اینجا اصحاب ندای پیغمبر لبیک میگویند و رخت سفر را میبندند، لباس احرام را بر میگیرند و بعدا هدایایی که با خود میبرند که عبارت از گوسفند یا شتر یا غیر حیواناتی که برای ذبح میبرند با خود میگیرند و از مدینه حرکت به طرف مکه مکرمه میکنند. همونطوری که میدانید زمانی که ایشان در البته از نظر تاریخی در اوائل ذوالقعده سال 6 هجری این واقعه رخ میدهد و زمانی که در خود ذوالحلیفه که در چند مایلی مدینه المنوره واقع است میرسند و میقات اهل مدینه است که باید از آن نقطه بدون احرام شما عبور نکنید برای داخل شدن به سرزمین حرم. در آنجا احرام میبندند و بعدا این راه را طی میکنند تا در یک جای میرسند در نزدیکی های مکه به نام حدیبیه و در آنجا به اصطلاح منزل میزنند و رخت سفر را و خیمه های خود را اونجا برپا میکنند که تا اینکه از اوضاع داخل خود مکه خبر شوند که اینا به جهت عمره و داخل مکه شوند. در اینجا است که پیامبر بزرگ اسلام شخصی را برای گرفتن احوال در خود مکه مکرمه میفرستند که بین مشرکین ببین که چی گپ است. برای از اینکه قبلا هم برای مشرکین مکه خبر برده بودند که خود محمد مصطفی صلی الله علیه و سلم با یاران خود میخواهد طرف مکه بیاید و ما باید متوجه باشیم که این آیا برای جنگ میآید یا تنها برای عمره میآید. همان است که بعدا خود حضرت عثمان خلیفه سوم رضی الله تعالی عنه را پیغمبر معزز می‌شود، میگه عثمان تو تو در داخل مکه برو و در آنجا اوضاع مشرکین را با ما خبر بیار که چه قسم است. حضرت عثمان زمانی که در خود مکه تشریف میبرند، مشرکین مانع ورودی در حقیقت مباحثاتی که بین کلانهای مشرکین میشود مانع ورودی پیامبر بزرگ اسلام میشوند و میگویند که ما نمیگذاریم که پیغمبر داخل مکه شود و میترسند از مسلمان ها. و در این وقت است که برای آوازه‌ای میافتد که در این حضرت عثمان را مشرکین به قتل رساندند یا شهید ساختند. اما همان زمان است که پیامبر بزرگ اسلام تمام اصحاب خود را جمع می کند که حالا ما و شما در حالی که برای ادای عمره آمدیم و مشرکین فکر می کنند که ما آمدیم که با امرایشان جنگ کنیم و خونریزی کنیم، امکان داره که بر ما حمله کنند. ما باید تا آخرین قطره خود در مقابلشان بیستیم و از خود دفاع کنیم. اصحاب بزرگوار یکایک میآیند، دست خود را با دست مبارک پیغمبر میمانند و بیعت میکنند و حتی بعضی از اصحاب آنقدر تشنه بیعت هستند که دو سه مرتبه یکی از اصحاب طوری که در کتب سیرت نوشته که 3 مرتبه آمد دست خود را همراه دست پیغمبر گذاشت، 3 مرتبه بیعت کرد و بعدا قسم یاد میکنند که یا رسول الله ما تا آخرین لحظه اگر جنگی باشد، اگر مبارزه‌ای با مشرکین باشد، با تو ایستاده هستیم. و بعدا در آخرین دفعه که تمام این 1400 یا 1500 نفری که جمع شدن با پیغمبر بیعت کردن، آخرین دفعه پیامبر بزرگ اسلام دست راست و چپ خود را با هم یک جا میکند، میگه این هم از طرف عثمان. ببینید این از مقام خلیفه سوم رضی الله تعالی عنه که پیغمبر یک دست خود را دست عثمان میسازد و دست دیگر دست خودش است، میگه این بیعت عثمان است.
سلام، تشکر از همگیتان که امروز آمدین و همراه ما روز شنبهتان یک جای می باشیم. خدا کنه که پروگرام ما برتان پیش داشته باشیم، برتان معلومات بسیار زیاد بدن و همچنان اگر علاقه دارین که به افغانستان کار کنین، بسیار گروپ های خوب اینجا آمدن که همراه ما یک جای اشتراک کنن به این پروگرام و بگوین که چی کارا میکنن. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming today. I understand that people will be trickling in throughout the day, so it's an all-day summit, so we're really appreciative of you spending your Saturday with us. I want to first of all start out by thanking the organizers, Asma, Nazim Eshin and Nadia Tarzi, for being the co-chairs of this year's event for Northern California, and also Michelle Ashwald for being the person who is handling all the press inquiries, and Masood Satari for handling all the volunteers, and all the volunteers, because this is an event that wouldn't be happening without everybody's time and effort. Everybody got a packet, and in that it has all the details of who's participating and the agenda and such. But I would like to first of all start by giving you a little bit of background about the Rebuild Afghanistan Summit. I met Masood Satari in 2003, or maybe it was 2004, when he was starting to talk about an annual conference to get organizations together to connect and to engage and share information about what they're doing. We all thought it was a really great idea, but he was actually the one who ran with the idea and made it happen. So I believe this is our 7th annual or 8th? 8th annual year for this conference, where a large number of nonprofits who work in Afghanistan come together to present their work to the community, and they will try to entice you to roll up your sleeves and extend a helping hand to the people of Afghanistan. Following our event, there will also be an event in Southern California and one in Washington, D.C. A few weeks ago, I was talking to Masood again, And he told me he's working on getting volunteers in other countries to start their RAS events. So I really would like to recognize Masood. Could you please stand up for his hard work, and let's give him a round of applause. And you know, when everybody wonders, what can I do? Well, here's an example of somebody who took an idea and made it into reality. So all of us can contribute in some way. The purpose of these events is to raise public awareness and garner support. As the years have gone by, the effort to rebuild Afghanistan has become hampered by increased instability in Afghanistan. This makes the need for the increased support from the Afghan diaspora even more crucial as time has gone by once again and become a factor in the race to assist Afghanistan. I just returned from Afghanistan on Monday. I actually have cobbled dirt on my shoes still. And what I found is that there's a strong sense of desperation among the international community and the Afghans as the clock is ticking towards 2014. Everyone is trying to figure out what is next, how to get there, and perhaps how to get out of there. What we can't forget is 2 years is a good amount of time to set the right groundwork for Afghans to unite to take over their own country. This is the opportunity for Afghans around the world and in Afghanistan to put aside their differences and start working towards a united Afghanistan. That is why events such as RAS are so important. The mission for our short time together today is to mobilize the local community and to get involved in the organization and businesses that are working to improve the lives of Afghan people in Afghanistan. This is to provide a platform to help the organizations and businesses expand their projects and to improve their lives of the people in Afghanistan. So I thank you all for coming today and sharing your Saturday with us. I know it's a really nice sunny day and you'd rather be out there, but I promise you we have a great program for you. I think what we have first is a video from last year's event that is going to be put on screen. So the opening remarks for the events are going to be done by a series of people who have had a big part in organizing this event. The first person that will come up on stage and give you a short introductory remarks is Mr. Ghulam Fada. He is presently working with Owens, Illinois, a global glass manufacturing company, as regional manufacturing and engineering manager. He's a graduate of University of Cincinnati with a master's degree in electrical computer engineering with an electrical engineering bachelor's degree from University of Kabul. So may I have Mr. Fada come up here and give us an intro, and he will be followed by Masood Satari, Susan Popal, and Nadia Tarzi.
Thank you, Umaira Jan. Good morning. Welcome to 2011 Afghan Summit. In recent years, Afghanistan has been the focal point of around the world. Every politician, reporter, and observer talk about why a country some 10 miles away is so important to them, to the political and economical interest they hold there. Today there is a talk of the importance of Afghanistan and the desire of both Afghan and the international community to leave the struggles of Afghanistan for the Afghans to deal with. We are here today to highlight why Afghanistan is important to us as individuals, as a small business, as political activists, or simply as an ordinary citizen that in one way or another have affected by event halfway across the world. Most Afghans remember the country and the people differently. We remember a time of peace and prosperity. We remember a time of friendship and brotherhood. Most of us know the hardship of the past 30 years plus, the struggle of the people of Afghanistan with the hardship, the communist regime, and the warlord and the fundamentalists. All of us are witness of the problem of poverty and underdevelopment of Afghan in Afghanistan. Therefore, it becomes necessary to search for the way to draw focus on the things that matter the most, to provide an opportunity for those that care to come together and join forces to accomplish something real, something that could change the life of an average Afghan. More than anything else, Afghanistan needs a skilled leader in every sector: health, education, business, agriculture, marketing, and engineering. The opportunity for young, educated leaders to improve people's life and to rebuild Afghanistan economy is enormous. Your goal, regardless of your area of interest, expertise, will likely be to create and build enterprises, institutions, organizations that will affect meaningful and sustainable improvement in people's lives. To do that, you will need to present ideas that are understandable and locally appropriate. You can only bring sustainable and positive changes if you collaborate in a teamwork environment. Consider this summit such an opportunity in your role as a collaborator. Collectively, we are likely to accomplish something benefit to Afghans in Afghanistan. Please take a moment to reflect on how best you can contribute to this summit that will benefit in rebuilding Afghanistan. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you very much for that very nice introduction. Mr. Fredal, thank you very much for the introduction of the event. I want to thank everybody for coming in today. Those of you that have been involved with the summit in the past probably are looking around the room and wondering, where is everybody? That's kind of what I was wondering here. And what I've noticed this year in particular was this was one of the most difficult events for us to organize. Even though we started planning for it months in advance. I think as soon as we got done with the event last year, we started planning for the one this year. But the same energy and the same momentum and the same enthusiasm that we used to have in the past for the work in Afghanistan, I've seen it dwindle away a little bit. All of the volunteers have heard me say multiple times that we have 8 million people here in the Bay Area. Why can't we get more than 100 people here at the summit? And if you guys look around the room, these are really the most committed people that we have in our community that are working in projects in Afghanistan. So it's really up to us. If we're going to be doing something for helping the people in Afghanistan, we can't really be counting on many other people because they would have showed up, they would have had a representative from their organization come to our event today to help out. So it's really up to us. I encourage all of you guys, let's make the best use of our time today here. We're all busy, we all have our lives, we all have our work, families, everything else. Let's take advantage of the time and let's work on projects that we know we can do something about. Talk about things that we know we can actually implement in Afghanistan. There's lots of big problems like corruption and terrorism and the neighbors of Afghanistan. Let's not waste time on talking about those things because those are things we can't really do anything about. The things that we can actually do about are the small projects which the organizations here are implementing right now. Those of you that some of you might be familiar with all of their organizations, some of you might not be familiar with them, and this is your opportunity to talk to them about it. So, as Omar Rajan said, in 2003, when we started planning for this event, every year we started expanding, and we got up to 31 different organizations, and we used to have 200-300 people come to the event. And now we really need to continue to encourage the folks that have been involved in the past to come back and continue working with us. We need to bring in new people. There's still lots of interest around the whole country on projects in Afghanistan and implementing and helping improve the situation there. So in 2009, what we decided was, we kept seeing the same people over and over again at these types of events, which is great. But we decided we needed to take this event to other locations. So last year we took the event to Los Angeles for the first time. We said, let's do the same thing. Let's get everybody from the local community there in Los Angeles. Let's get them all in the same room, have them share ideas, have the people there know about their organizations. And we had the biggest turnout that we've ever had in any of the summits. So that was really exciting. So even though we have a really progressive, active community here in Northern California, the same thing exists in other locations. And on Thursday this week, we're going to be having the summit in Washington, D.C. We've had lots of organizations and businesses register with us there. You guys can learn more about them on the website. And then we'll continue doing the same thing. And the work that we're doing, this is going to take us 30 to 50 years. So we all got to be in it for the long run if we're going to actually make an impact. We're going to have to continue having these types of events, continuing to work on these types of projects, everybody working with each other, collaborating for the next, in multiple locations, not just here in Northern California, not just in Los Angeles or Washington, D.C., but we have to have this type of collaborative effort in locations all over the world, and we ain't got to do it for several years for us to really see an impact. One thing that I'm really excited about here is our new website. So our new website has some excellent features, and I want to recognize Andrew McCall. If you can stand up, Andrew. He's right over here in the back. He's talking to Bud right now. Andrew, can you stand up? I want to recognize Andrew for the hard work that he's done with our website. Let me tell you guys what he's done. So now all of the organizations that are here registered through the web. So all of these organizations that you see here are now in the database of the Rebuild Afghanistan, in the Rebuild Afghanistan Summit database. And it's a searchable database that everyone around the world can access. When we have the event in other locations around the world, those organizations will also register with that database, and all of us will be able to access that information, their contact information, all of that stuff. And the really neat feature is you can rate these organizations like you can on Yelp. So you can go on there and give 5 stars to Afghans for Tomorrow for their wonderful work that they've done, and there's lots of other organizations, and you can leave comments and things like that. So that way we can all start to get to know who the other folks are in the other communities around the world that are doing the projects and continue to build a network. Because let me just tell you guys, this is it. This is our group right here. If we're going to do something, it's going to have to be done with us here. There's no one else to help us. We're going to have to do it on our own. So I really encourage you guys, take advantage of the time today and work with each other, and let's figure out ways of expanding our projects. The last thing I just wanted to say is that we're a 100% volunteer-based organization. So the effectiveness of these events, the usefulness of these events, the turnout for these events is really up to the efforts of the volunteers. And I want to recognize Nadia Tarzi, Asma Jan, Mr. Gulam Fida, for their leadership and helping mobilize the folks that we have been able to encourage to come to the event. But we need more help. The three of them can't do everything. There's lots of help we've had from the Afghan Student Association. We need to bring lots of other folks in to help us out, because if we're planning to do this type of event in other locations, not only are we going to need volunteers here, we'll need volunteers in other locations. So if you guys have folks in mind that might be able to help us implement the projects in other locations, please contact us and let me know. And the most useful thing that you guys will take away from the event today, besides all of the wonderful networking that you'll do and meeting all the folks with the great projects, is take this booklet home with you. In there is the contact information of all the folks that are here, and stay in contact with each other throughout the year and work with each other and encourage other folks to work together. So thank you everyone for coming today. Thank you Humayra Jan for continuing to keep us going here, and hope you guys enjoy the event. Take care.
Hello, my name is Susan Popal. I'm a junior here at UC Berkeley, and I'm a business administration major and minor in education. So I'm also the president of the Afghan Student Association here on campus, and the mission of our organization is to preserve, promote, and embrace the cultural heritage of Afghanistan through social events, education, and mentorship. Furthermore, we strive to support relief operations and peace and stability in Afghanistan. We are proud to have an organization representing Afghans at the #1 public university in the nation. Here at UC Berkeley, we have a very unique campus culture which values serving diverse communities, advocating justice, raising awareness, and gathering support. As such, hosting the Rebuild Afghanistan Summit fits in wonderfully with our campus culture and our organization's goal to educate about the situation in Afghanistan. So on behalf of the members of our student organization, I would love to welcome the Rebuild Afghanistan Summit and all of you guests to UC Berkeley for the 2nd year in a row. Thank you all for being here and for your interest in and dedication to assisting Afghanistan. Thank you, and go Bears.
Greetings everyone, my name is Nadia Tarzi. I'm the founder and CEO for the Association for the Protection of Afghan Archaeology. And I'm really pleased to be volunteering for the summit. Once again, I've been doing this for several years now. And I cannot emphasize enough on what Masood, John, and Gulam John have said. Volunteers are very much needed to make something like this happen. Before I get into the reason I'm up here to talk to you today about, I want to apologize. I am responsible for printing the certificates of honor and of appreciation. They are printed, but they're at home. So you will get them in the mail. But that said, I do want to take just a moment to thank personally the Afghan Students Association, Cafe Giro, who will be providing our lunch, and Mr. Habib Zargai, present here, who is filming and taking pictures of our event today. Following Mr. Fida, Mr. Gulam Fida, who is the CEO and founder of the Afghan Education for a Better Tomorrow organization, which, by the way, is now the umbrella nonprofit organization for the summit. To follow his comments, we've come up with a new idea this year. We all know that the summit is about collaboration and networking. So we wanted to try something new. Because all of our efforts are really important, but they're a little bit fragmented. You know, we are all grassroots organizations, we work very hard. Some organizations make it further, some don't, some give up. So we thought, why not create a team? So we came up with the Express team, the Rebuild Afghanistan Express team. And what is that about? So today, all the participating organizations present here can drop their business card in a box at registration. This afternoon, 3 of those will be picked. And next year, those 3 organizations will present a project as a proposal with a budget to the summit. And one of those 3 will be voted on by everybody present. And what that will mean, hopefully, the hope is that everybody on the summit will support that project for 1 year. The project will begin 1 month within the summit's end and until 1 month prior to the following summit, so there's time for reports and so on. And we would like to see if it's possible, regardless of what our personal or our organization's inclinations are, if we can come together and really truthfully lend support and bring something to life in Afghanistan and see what happens. Because we all have talents. Some of us are good fundraisers, some of us are marketers, and if we can participate and help one another that way, who knows, maybe we can go far. And that's pretty much it. So if you need more information, it is in the booklet, and don't forget to put your business card in the box. Thank you.
Wow, these are some great speakers. They're all exactly on time except for Masood John, but that's okay. He has some extra leeway. I just realized that I didn't really introduce myself. My name is Mayra Khalzai. I've been working around projects in Afghanistan for the past 10 years or so. And I am currently the executive director of the Gilzai Group. We focus on large-scale projects and we consult on them. But I'm also the founder of Afghan Friends Network. We have 2 girls' schools and 1 boys' school in Ghazni. We also have 12 girls in a scholarship program where we allow them to attend university, and 80 women that are part of the our literacy program. Afghan Friends Network and the Ghazni Hayward Sister City Committee, which is another organization I co-founded, and Bruce Green is here representing that, are very active in supporting Ghazni for its designation as the center of Islamic countries for the year 2013. And we feel this is a really important event because it's the first time that something actually positive is happening in Afghanistan, and it should be a source of pride for Afghans in Afghanistan and around the world. And if any of you want to learn more about the Ghazni 2013, I'd be happy to tell you. So I have been asked to go through the day's agenda with you. Basically, the organizers have worked really hard to get some really interesting speakers here. And this year we don't have any breakout sessions. As you can see, everybody's here, so it actually makes it really nice to network with everyone and all the different organizations that have set up their booths. Go by, say hi, learn about what they do if you don't already know, or just say hi to them because you probably haven't seen them for a year. We have a series of speakers. We do get a lunch break at 1:10. The lunch is for $10, and you will have a quick turnaround time to get your lunch, sit back down, because we do have a speaker during lunch. And then we have a networking opportunity at the end of the day when we're going to try to end the summit around 4:15, so you all can have some time to meet with each other, but there will also be opportunities. So what I would like to do is, in order for us to meet the 4:15 deadline or time frame, is that everybody, comes and sits down when we ask you to, and that way we can keep everything on schedule. So the next speaker is going to be Bud McKenzie. I met Bud around the time I met Masood in 2003, when we were both thinking about how to help Afghanistan. I found him to be very generous with his time and genuinely interested in helping the Afghan people. Bud is a lawyer by profession and a serial community volunteer. He founded Trust in Education after reading Charlie Wilson's War, becoming informed about U.S. involvement in Afghanistan, and visiting Afghanistan. Trust in Education is comprised of an ever-increasing number of people who, like Bud, have chosen to make time to help Afghans rebuild their lives and country. Bud and his lovely wife, Randy, have given much of their time and energy to helping Afghans both here and in Afghanistan. So Bud, would you like to come on up here?
Thank you for the invitation today. I think, as Masood said, we are having a meeting of the choir. but that's great. That's fine. I actually got started helping Afghanistan by reading the front page of Parade magazine, and Greg Mortensen was on the front page. So I've got sort of a jaded history at this point vis-a-vis the rest of the world. But beneath his name there was a caption that read, "He fights terror with books." I haven't read Parade before. I've never read it ever since. I opened it up, and by the end of reading about his work in Afghanistan and Pakistan, I decided that might be somebody that we could help. So it took about 6 weeks to get a hold of Greg, because 40 million of those go out on a weekend. And I got a hold of him, spent an hour on the phone, and went through due diligence with him. At the end of that due diligence, I asked him, "How much money do you need to build another school in Afghanistan?" He said $25,000, and I basically said, "Go pick another village." I know my neighbors and friends. We spent $1.5 million fixing up a couple of baseball fields. We have a $45 million library. $25,000 didn't seem like a huge sum. So you call those neighbors and friends of yours that always volunteer. You volunteer with them, they volunteer with you. And about 5 of us started, and we raised about $60,000 over 6 months, sent it all up to his organization. Then what happened is 2 things. A number of Afghans invited me over for dinner, which is your custom. And I began to learn about Afghanistan, and I did. I read Charlie Wilson's War. Then I put the 2 together and learned about U.S. involvement in Afghanistan, and learned about how the conditions in Afghanistan today are in large measure consequences of U.S. involvement in the region. I can say that as a non-Afghan. It's easier for me to say as a non-Afghan. But the reality is Afghanistan's had 30 years of war, over half of which the United States has either financed or been directly engaged in war. 99.999% of that country don't want to fight or kill anybody. But they have been the checkerboard for the major players to fight one another. So the Russians were defeated, communism did fail, the Berlin Wall came down in 1989 after 10 years of war, 1 million lives, 5 million refugees, and we pulled out all humanitarian aid in 1992 and 1993. That was the chapter in Charlie Wilson's War that led me to the conclusion that whatever we do today militarily, we do not abandon the Afghan people again, as we did. As we did in 1992, 1993. Now I do have a piece I put together called Afghanistan, Why Should Anybody Care? Let's face it, half the world, 3 billion people, are trying to live on less than $2 a day. Poverty's not new, poverty's pervasive. Why Afghanistan? So within the piece of Afghanistan, Why Should Anybody Care, basically I do say that, and I can say it as a non-Afghan much more than Afghans can, but I think it's important for you Afghans to share that history with non-Afghans, because most don't know it. Most want to get out now, they want to get out tomorrow, and they want to withdraw all troops, and they want to withdraw all support. That's the sentiment of the public. We've got problems here at home, right? So what does that mean to the rest of us? Got to work harder. Got to be more diligent. And part of that process involved educating Americans about the need to not abandon the Afghan people again. So let me show you some of the things that we have done, engaged in, some of which have worked, some of which have worked sorta, some of which have failed. I've been there 14 times now. I go twice a year. And I was just there about 4 weeks ago, right after Rabbani had been killed. And everybody was saying, don't go, don't go, don't go. But we wanted to go because we wanted the message to be sent to the villages and the people that we're helping is that we're not going. We're not going to be driven out. At least not 3 or 4 weeks ago. This is a school that was first built in the village of Lalander in Charles Siab Valley. This was the one built by Greg Mortensen. And then that opened up in 1985. Or no, 2005. What am I saying? Random access memory is full. This is another school project. This is Zora Aziz. And 2 years ago, she called my office and left a message to the effect that she wanted help from our organization to build a school for girls in the village of Farzab. I asked my assistant at the time to call her back and say, no, I'm sorry, that project's too large for us. This is a recession. The contributions are going to be down. This is more money than we're going to be able to raise. So then what happened is my assistant became busy, so I picked up the message myself and called Zora back. And after about 10 or 15 minutes of conversation with Zora, I went from no to maybe. And what happened is I picked up the phone and I called a woman who had indicated an interest in raising funds for a project, asked her if she would put together an event, which she did, which they put a fundraiser on, and Ambassador Jawad was our keynote speaker. And Khaled Husseini, I shouldn't have any trouble remembering that night. He showed up that night. We raised $60,000 that night. So we went from maybe to yes. So the other thing that, one of the things that's wonderful about this project, and you'll see many of our projects are this way, Trust in Education is not spending one dime on labor. This is a project being totally done 100% by volunteer labor in Farzah. And there are many people, even leaders within Afghanistan, who have thought this project is going to fail. It's not. These are some of the girls in Farzah, and what happened was Zora had left Afghanistan when she was 8 years old, came to the United States, and went back. And these girls came running up to her, these and others came up and said, please, you've got to help us build a school for girls. There are no schools for girls, for young girls in Farzah. Zora came back and spent 3 years trying to find an organization to raise the fund, including Greg Mortenson's, couldn't find somebody to do it, and then landed in Trust in Education. Zora's over there now. She went over there in August because there was some problem with the construction, and she wanted to make sure that it moved forward. She's sick. She's taking medicine over there. I said, Zora, come home. She said, no, I'll try this medicine. She went over there fully intending to stay in Kabul because she thought that that would be safer than the village. She's now living inside the village because she is now safer inside her village than inside Kabul. This is where the girls are studying now. This is one of the rooms in another building where they're studying. This is another. This is where they are now. This is the construction underway about a year ago, and you'll notice the trenches, how deep they are, and digging the foundation. They dug that all by hand. Shovels. Coming up out of the ground. Up out of the ground. 2 months ago, this was it. They are now at the point where they have finished sort of the first floor. They're putting in the floor above the first floor, and they're playing beat the clock, trying to get as much done before the winter sets in. This is shot a week ago. This is Zora over there counting rebar. We have to go through a process of verifying what we buy, how much we pay for it, how much they receive, so that nobody gets to accuse the other of cheating. So there is an elaborate process, and Zora's right on top of running around. In fact, she's running around trying to find the best bargain on bricks right now, because that's the next thing she's going to be asking for money for in the next week or so. This is what they'll be in by the end of the summer, inshallah. 2 stories, 10 rooms, 350 girls for starters. These are some of the workers. Hopefully they can read the sign that somebody gave them to hold for the photo op. Now, this is an interesting story. This is a dome that was given to us by an organization building these domes, which are actually fantastic. They're mobile, they're inexpensive, you can create a classroom, and they gave us that dome because they want to be able to show it to other organizations. That dome was attacked about 3 months ago. A rocket went through. Somebody came in and ended up wanting to destroy the dome, and the rocket ended up. That's a guard standing outside. This is the guard after the attack. This is the guard today, still guarding the dome. What was the reason for attacking the dome? Some religious leader had decided that only a mosque should be in the shape of a dome. No other building should. So there have been attacks on a couple of other domes, and there's a big controversy inside the village now as to whether or not the dome's got to go or we're going to repair the dome. My intention is, if they fix the dome and it can stay, then we will put in a computer classroom after the school is built. We even talked about how we can make the building square. We'll get away from the dome controversy. But it shows you again what we're up against. Now, remember the school? This is the one that opened up 2005. One of my favorite stories that I tell everywhere I go is I took this photo around to the people who had donated. This came to me over the internet before I went and visited the school. And I took it all around, showed them neighbors and friends, contributors, all adults. I took it to Happy Valley Elementary School, and within 15 seconds, a kid says to me, "Where are the swings?" Bud, where are the swings? I hadn't noticed, no adult had noticed, and so I went back to Afghanistan 6 months later. We've been in swings, monkey bars, seesaw, volleyball court. We now call this our play strategy. Play is great. Play is wonderful. It turns out that enrollment goes up and attendance goes up once you make school fun. So we have now, we put in swings for girls. This is in the village of Kuala Luqman. Monkey bars for boys, monkey bars for girls. Now, did you notice in those two photos that I'm a Title IX violator? You get the connection? Spent more money on the girls than I did on the boys. It's just that we learned that we could actually and should put in monkey bars that are larger. Now, when I was over there putting in the swings that next visit, a young Afghan stood up and said, thank you, but you know, we'd really like to play soccer. So before I left, we hired the Caterpillar, they leveled the land, they put in goalposts, and put in a soccer field. We've now done that in 3 different schools. And we have another one that's on the wish list now that we're in all likelihood going to put in as well. Look at the goalposts. What do you notice? They're in backwards, right? Look where the braces are. They had a 50% chance of getting that right. So I had to send the email, they turned the goalposts around. And what you see now are these are 2 soccer teams that are sponsored by Thai. You have the teachers that give soccer classes. Sometimes they come at 6:30 in the morning before school starts. And these are 2 teams, one from Lalander and one from Tengi Sedan. And we have now inter-village soccer play. All it takes for inter-village soccer play is a $40 bus, which we did. We brought the kids from Lalander down to Tengi. Actually, this is in Kuala Luqman. They played each other, and fortunately they played to a 2-2 tie. This, my friends, is a home run, bottom of the 9th, World Series, tie ball game, last game. They told me there was no way that they were going to have a soccer program for girls. And about 6 weeks later, the village of Kuala Luqman decided to do that, and they now have a program for soccer for girls. That's them playing. Look what they're wearing. Can you see it from there? Well, you'll see it now. Problem, solution. We bought the soccer shoes and bought the shin guards. They've never seen a shin guard before, by the way. I went to the headmaster of a school and he was turning it upside down, and I had to take my shoes off and pull it on for him, show it how it worked. This is a soccer program in Reshkor. I might not be pronouncing that correctly, but it's very close to Kuala Luqman. What's happened is that they've seen the program next door. They now have 2 soccer programs for girls, one for the younger, one for the older girls. So it's happening. It's spreading. These are very inexpensive to do. soccer coach only requires $50 a month. So once you put in the field, you can put in a soccer field for $1,500 or so, and you have a soccer program for $50 a month plus a bunch of balls. There she is. Poster child, not quite ready for the Olympics. But we have the foot in the door, right? We have the foot in the door in terms of the perception of women's roles. This is another thing that we have done to address the threat to girls of going to school. We finance classes inside homes, inside villages, and they are safe. Girls that would not be going to school otherwise are taking classes inside homes, inside villages. The other thing that happens in this is you get peer pressure, because dad has to deal with the fact that the girl next door is going to class. So they are able, not us, they are able to get more girls taking classes and getting education as a consequence. The problem with the inside the home, inside the village is the living rooms get to be too small. Can't accommodate all the kids. So this was the first venture out. This was a man who had this building on his house, small garage area, who asked us to expand it and spend some money to convert it into a larger room, which we did. That was $400. That got to be too small. So then what happened is they asked if we would supply the materials, they do 100% of the labor, to build what we call a learning center, which we did. Take a look at the scaffold. See, is that a workers' comp claim in the making or what? I had an engineer at a Rotary Club who said, please send me that photo, I want to get it published in one of my engineering magazines. That shouldn't be possible. And who in their right mind would get up there on that array of bricks? So anyway, they finished it. This is myself and Navi Tabakali, who goes with me all the time now, and the kids were ecstatic. The old place, this is what it looked like. So what we did with the old place, the smaller room, is you paint it, you put in carpet, and then you can do this. Computers take the lid off of education because you're no longer dependent upon the education of the teacher, which is a real challenge in Afghanistan, particularly to find women who are educated who can teach. Not only who can teach, but are willing to go out into the village areas. It's not easy to get women who are educated to go out well beyond the city limits. So the computers take the lid off. We have 2 computer classes now in Afghanistan. All of these things are donated. These computers are all donated. Flat screen monitors aren't so donated. We buy those. But all those are donated by law firms that have stepped up. Put in water. Oh, this is fun. So I asked the kids, I said, what do you want to be sort of when you finish school? This is the number of kids who want to be teachers. You know what happens when I ask the same thing in American classes? Less than 10%. Once in a while, hardly any hands at all. This is the most revered position, as far as I can tell from this study, in Afghanistan, has become a teacher. How many want to be doctors? How many? Fewer than those that want to be teachers. How many want to be lawyers? See the guy in the lower right? He really doesn't want to be a lawyer. He's upset with the fact that I asked. Now, we also have what we call the wish list process. If you want to know what people need, what a village needs, ask them. You don't need to study. Ask them.